Bien, bonjour à tous et bienvenue à Atmosphère 2014. Je suis ravi d'être avec vous. Je suis Frédéric Roussol, je suis directeur commercial Google Entreprises France et j'aurai le privilège, ou la lourde tâche, je ne sais pas, de vous accompagner pendant toute cette matinée. Donc je pense qu'à ce stade, vous avez déjà dû remarquer, en tout cas pour vous qui êtes un petit peu habitués de l'événement, qu'aujourd'hui, Atmosphère est vraiment différent de ce que vous avez pu connaître. On a décidé d'orienter en fait l'événement par ligne de métier. Donc en fait, Atmosphère va durer pendant toute la semaine et même plus, déborder sur la semaine prochaine. Hier, dans cette même salle, pour votre information, nous avions 150 DRH. Donc aujourd'hui, c'est la thématique IT. Et ce matin, c'est la thématique IT, mais pour nos clients. Donc c'est un petit peu spécial pour nous. On est entre nous finalement. Même si j'ai cru voir quelques prospects d'ailleurs parmi vous. Alors je ne sais pas s'il y a un message par rapport à ça, mais bon, on accepte tout le monde. Donc on est entre nous, entre clients. Et donc je voulais commencer un petit peu avec une chose un petit peu différente, c'est-à-dire que pour vous remercier un petit peu de la confiance que vous nous avez témoignée, je vois aussi qu'il y a des Googlers parmi nous. J'aimerais qu'on commence par vous applaudir pour vous remercier tout simplement d'être parmi nous.
Bonjour à tous. Merci pour votre fidélité, merci pour votre présence, merci d'être là. Alors c'est un moment un petit peu particulier parce qu'effectivement, comme le disait Frédéric, on a changé le format de cet événement Atmosphère. On essaie effectivement de discuter, d'atteindre, de collaborer avec toutes les fonctions d'entreprise. Donc c'est une nouveauté, j'espère que vous appréciez ce format. Donc vous avez probablement des collaborateurs, des collègues qui ont participé soit hier à la session RH, soit demain à la session innovation, soit après-demain à la session marketing et commerce, direction commerciale. Donc j'espère que vous aurez des retours et que vous pourrez partager ces retours avec nous. C'est important pour qu'on puisse s'améliorer pour les prochains événements. Alors, on a la chance d'avoir Hervé Dumas, qui est... alors moi, quand je t'ai connu, Hervé, tu étais chez Valeo. Hein, tu as été un des premiers à adopter les technologies Google. Tu as été aussi un gros contributeur en termes de feedback, nous permettant de nous améliorer sur les produits, sur la façon dont on adresse le marché. Et puis ensuite, tu as créé ou cofondé le club des utilisateurs Google. Et puis, bon, c'est pas un secret. Aujourd'hui, tu es CTO de Veolia. Alors, et il se trouve que Veolia est aussi un client de Google. Alors, je vais quand même préciser que tu es arrivé après la signature quand même de... D'accord, il n'y a pas de relation que vous avez fait, bien que le déploiement, on le sait tous, le déploiement technique, et puis le change management, c'est fondamental. Donc, on compte sur toi pour que ça se passe bien. Alors, toi, enfin, en tout cas, moi, je t'ai vu pendant 3 ans et demi. Toi, tu nous connais depuis 7 ans à peu près, 7-8 ans. Comment est-ce que tu vois cette évolution, cette révolution du cloud et puis de Google en tant que leader sur ce sujet? Comment est-ce que tu vois en fait ce trajet, cette trajectoire?
De manière intéressante et vivante. Frédéric et Eric, merci pour cette introduction. Effectivement, j'ai besoin de sortir couvert, donc une double casquette n'est pas de trop. Cette vision, elle s'exprime de manière assez dynamique et itérative à travers justement ce club des entreprises utilisatrices qu'on a cofondé avec Malakoff Médéric et Euromaster en 2011. Donc ça date un petit peu et qui existe toujours. Et qui grossit, donc on doit avoir quelque chose comme 17 entreprises qui sont membres du club aujourd'hui. Il y en a beaucoup dans la salle, je suis content de les voir. Ça doit représenter quelque chose comme 300 000 utilisateurs. Donc
tu peux préciser comment est-ce qu'on devient
membre. Comment on devient membre? Alors, il faut avoir déployé Google Apps.
Ah, ça c'est une bonne chose.
Parce qu'en fait, l'initiative de ce club, c'est une très bonne remarque, vient de réflexions. On se croisait... entre 2008 et 2010, on va dire, avec quelques clients qu'on pouvait compter sur les doigts d'une main ou de plusieurs mains. Et on savait qu'on allait devoir aborder les problématiques de la récurrence. Et on voulait les aborder de manière aussi efficace, dynamique, positive que le déploiement, la migration, qui était plus ou moins aventureuse à l'époque, beaucoup plus industrialisée aujourd'hui. Et donc on a positionné le club sur cette thématique de la récurrence, que ce soit sur les organisations support, l'évolution des plateformes, l'évolution des usages, comment maintenir une dynamique d'accompagnement des collaborateurs, d'autonomisation, l'écosystème, comment il évolue, comment il grandit, comment on intègre efficacement le cloud dans les systèmes d'information d'entreprise, etc. Donc c'est très ouvert, chaque membre contribue, apporte des idées, des problématiques, et puis effectivement on retrouve cette logique, comme on utilise la même plateforme, on a beaucoup de sujets communs.
Voilà. On va le voir d'ailleurs un petit peu plus tard pour les questions.
Et, mais toi,
moi,
toi aussi, tu as eu un parcours et tu as découvert Google Entreprise. Et depuis 3 ans, qu'est-ce que tu vois?
Ça va très vite. Alors jamais assez vite pour mes patrons, Amit Singh et puis Sébastien Marot qui sont dans la salle d'ailleurs. Mais ça va très vite. Ça va très vite. Et alors c'est toujours difficile de qualifier la vitesse. Mais il y a un chiffre qui m'a marqué récemment. On a fait une étude sur les commandes clients, la relation client en fait qu'on a avec les principaux clients du CAC 40 pour histoire de trouver une référence. Et il se trouve qu'aujourd'hui, on a 82% en fait de part de marché sur le CAC 40. Alors 82% de part de marché sur le CAC 40, ça veut dire qu'en fait, avec 82% des acteurs du CAC 40, on a une relation client, on a une collaboration sur un certain nombre de produits Google Entreprise. Alors ça peut être du Apps, ça peut être du Search, ça peut être du Maps, ça peut être différentes choses, mais on a cette relation. Et de façon très spécifique, alors c'est un chiffre un peu moins important, mais dans la dynamique en fait, notamment sur 3 ans, on est en train d'approcher les 20% de part de marché sur le CAC 40, en l'occurrence pour tout ce qui est Google Apps for Business. Et on a bon espoir, en tout cas on y travaille avec Frédéric, avec Thomas Gourand, les équipes, on y travaille pour effectivement encore accélérer ça, parce qu'on croit aussi au jeu de domino, on pense que quand les gens font des choses sympas, d'autres personnes veulent aussi faire la même chose parce que ça apporte du bénéfice à l'entreprise et puis à vos clients. On a la chance aujourd'hui d'avoir, depuis hier soir, la présence de Amit Singh à Paris, dans la salle en l'occurrence. Et j'aimerais donc qu'ils viennent nous rejoindre afin de partager avec nous les challenges de Google Entreprise et où est-ce qu'on va en termes de tendance et la nouvelle aventure en fait, qui se présage pour nous et pour vous. Amit ? Alors, on a voulu faire simple parce que, vous savez, Amit vient souvent en France. Il vient souvent en France parce qu'il aime le vin, il aime les petits bistrots, mais surtout, il aime les clients français. Et chaque fois que je le vois à Mountain View, chaque fois qu'on se rencontre ici, il me dit « Waouh, c'est dingue comme les clients français sont... Waouh, ils sont... » Bon, nous, on a tendance à s'auto-critiquer toujours dans nos petites discussions de café du commerce ou le samedi soir avec les amis, mais c'est vrai qu'on fait des trucs extraordinaires. Et donc, c'est un Américain qui nous le dit. Et donc, j'ai envie de commencer par la première question que je dirai en français. Donc, on déroulera l'ensemble de ces discussions en français. Et il se trouve qu'Amit, is it working? Does it work? Yeah. So, the first question I have.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Is how do you feel the French market? How do you feel the French customer?
Well, some of the largest customers that we have in Google are in France, and I've always wondered why that is. You know, why is so many big companies in France adopting the cloud? And I think it goes back to the revolution. So I've actually always felt in the conversations with customers here that there's a very strong early adopter market here, where people want to use technology, they feel empowered, they want to make decisions, and we've seen that here, where I don't know if this is well known, but almost 80% of the CAC companies are now using paid enterprise products from Google. I think this is actually the first time I'm announcing that here. And that's pretty exciting. That tells you that we are seeing broad, widespread adoption of technologies. And for all of you who are customers, I want to say thank you.
OK. Donc voilà, c'était une première question pour Amit. Et il se trouve qu'on vous a posé des questions, enfin on vous a demandé de poser des questions, pardon, vous nous avez répondu, et il se trouve que les questions sont franchement tout à fait légitimes assez en accord avec ce qu'on entend lors de nos échanges informels ou formels en vous rencontrant chez vous et chez nous, et finalement assez cohérent avec des questions aussi que tu as, toi Hervé. Donc ce qu'on propose, c'est de commencer une discussion donc, avec Amit et Hervé, en français encore une fois, il a un traducteur, mais comme on est quand même entre nous, hein, comme a dit Frédéric, l'idée c'est vraiment qu'on puisse tous dire, et sur les questions, j'ai fait aucun filtre, hein, j'ai pris les questions telles qu'elles sont, je sais qu'Hervé a pris quelques questions aussi, bon, quand même des questions, hein, et bon, on va voir comment Amit va répondre. Pour qu'on se sente bien, ce que je propose, c'est qu'on mette une petite ambiance cosy, sympa, pour... hein si c'est possible, la régie. Voilà, super, excellent. Bon, alors je vais ce qu'on va faire, Hervé, si tu es d'accord, ce qu'on va faire, je vais commencer par la première question et ensuite tu poseras ta question. Alors, mais c'est pas moi en fait, hein, il se trouve que c'est eux. Moi, je suis que le messager. Je ne suis que le messager. Alors, la première question, quels sont vos plus importants challenges en cette année et dans les années à venir? You got the question? The biggest challenges.
You know, for us at Google is continuing to keep up the pace of innovation for our products. I think you know we're seeing the market change very, very quickly. You see consumers, my daughter's back there, say hello, honey, just spending all their time on mobile devices. And most of the technology architecture has not shifted yet to be mobile first. Not too far in the distant future, you will have an enterprise where the vast bulk of your computing by your employees in your companies will be done on mobile devices. That may seem far-fetched at the moment, but it's going to happen sooner than you think. And getting ready for that world where employees, like most of you today, are spending most of their times on these devices, it's gonna happen. We need to get ready for it. I think the second major thing that we need to speed up is the movement to the cloud and rebuilding the back end, rebuilding our applications so they take advantage of this utility where you can reduce your cost, increase your speed, and frankly deliver new services at scale that were never possible before. Those are the two challenges that we've given ourselves at Google. Mobile, how do you accelerate mobile? And how do you move everything and help you as clients move everything to cloud?
Hervé, une question?
Oui, alors je suis également le porte-parole des questions qui m'ont été communiquées par les membres du club, l'entreprise. C'est très concret et opérationnel. Une question qui est intéressante, c'est que vous commencez à avoir des vieux clients et les organisations changent et évoluent avec des fusions, des cessions, des acquisitions. Il est tout à fait possible de gérer ces opérations-là. Cependant, on peut imaginer que ça ferait sens de continuer à simplifier, améliorer, industrialiser ces opérations dans le cadre de fusion, cession ou acquisition, de passage de domaine Google Apps à un autre, etc. Est-ce que Google travaille dessus?
You're talking about the merge of the customers, fusion des clients.
L'évolution d'organisation d'un client.
Plus one from Lafarge and Holcim.
Plus one.
Yes, it's a good example.
Une bonne occasion pour vous inscrire.
I've registered on the Google Apps Club.
So this is the question is moving from industrializing the products to move them from the old world to Google Apps. And
No, that's not quite the question. You have two big Google Apps customers that are merging or thinking
yes.
of merging.
This is Lafarge
and we would like to
and Wholesome. Yeah, they're both,
easily
yeah.
merge the domain,
Okay.
and we're probably going to do some divestment. So moving users,
I see.
an organization to a different company or merging two companies should
Yeah.
be easier.
Yeah. That's a pretty big merger. Congratulations on that. We'll help you merge. This is two different domains working together and kind of finding a way. It's going to be a technical challenge, but it's not that unreasonable. We should be able to figure. Now, helping people do it at scale, like we can help you one-off figure it out. But helping doing that at scale is a broader challenge, because each domain has an identity, and based on that, there are access, and with that is access control for everything from your documents to all your hierarchies and your groups. It's actually a relatively involved process, because if it was simple, we would have just done it, right? If you want documents to be shared between two companies and those companies are trusted companies, I've heard this request before, to create trusted domains. We're working on that. It's just, it's a lot of engineering because it goes way deep in the code to have every entity understand that there is somebody else outside of their domain that has access to those documents. So it's it'll take some time for us to figure that out. But congratulations on the merger if it happens, and we'll help you migrate. Let's just say that.
Merci Joël. So next question is about the way we manage roadmap. Donc la question c'est effectivement, bon visiblement on apporte beaucoup de fonctionnalités, heureusement, beaucoup d'innovations, et des fois pour vous, c'est un peu difficile de manager cette roadmap avec vos propres utilisateurs. Donc comment est-ce qu'on peut améliorer la gestion de la roadmap avec nos clients? Does it work? So how can we help to manage and to anticipate?
Yeah, I can't understand.
Yeah,
So
better.
we're gonna go.
How can we help to manage and anticipate the roadmap with the customer?
Oh yeah.
The CI, you know?
Yes. So roadmaps have been a important and hotly debated topic. So 2 years ago, or maybe slightly longer, we didn't used to share much of anything. We just roll out the next feature and you got it, and then you had to figure out how to deal with it. We started to instrument how to share what we're working on with our customers. And over the last year, we've been doing under NDA, most of you I think are under NDA, share what we're working on both in the next quarter and then what's coming a quarter after that. We do that privately in roadmap sessions. And I look at the content and it's getting better. We could obviously do more. We could give you more visibility about what's coming. And many times we'll move very fast. We'll decide on a particular feature that has been on the back burner and moving it forward. And but more often than not, I think we are a lot better organized. Our communications processes are more mature. Essentially, we want a pipeline from our product and engineering organization to IT so that you have a better understanding on the kinds of things that we're working on. For example, I was here, I think I met you for dinner, explained that we were working on Android for Enterprise. Yesterday, we announced the acquisition of one of the companies for that to make Android a first-class citizen in your companies. So we are working towards making those roadmaps more visible, more accessible to you. We'll probably only be able to give you a 6-month window. Anything beyond that is just directional. Things change too fast in 6 months, so that commitment, we're going to work hard in making sure it gets to you here in the France market.
Thank you. Thank you, Amit. Hervé, question?
Maybe linked to the roadmap, a zoom on Google Plus and Hangouts. There's a lot of question from enterprise. Hangouts and Chromebox for meetings, things like that, are very interesting and quite easy to use, to deploy, etc. It's less obvious for Google Plus, linked to the challenge within organization and the impact on users, usage, etc., etc. What is the current vision and the plan to continue to simplify and to improve the situation for enterprise?
Yeah. So I'm happy to announce, again, you heard it here first before you see it in the press, that Chromebox for Meetings should be available as a video conferencing product for you to use within a few weeks. We are just finalizing the last minute inventory issues, and by middle of June, we'll have those available here in Europe and in France. So you can set up a meeting room of 10 to 12 people for less than $1,000 and deliver the Hangout service. And that's for Google Apps customers, as well as we just released a Outlook plugin so that even if you're a Microsoft Office user, you'll be able to use video conferencing from Google, which is pretty exciting. Hangouts has a pretty aggressive roadmap for this quarter. First was presence, which you saw, the presence indicator getting improved so you can see who's online, who's not. That had changed when we moved from chat to Hangouts. And you should see the sign-up flow and account creation process that has been a little complicated dramatically simplify so that you can use Hangouts a lot easier inside your domains. Google Plus, getting enterprise ready. There's about, we've been working like one feature at a time. There's like a weekly scrum that goes on. I would anticipate that a SLA-based, fully compliant with all local regulation, MCCs, and a variety of other things that we do for Google Plus will be ready in Q3. And the idea there would be you can use it, the vast bulk of your users will be using it privately inside your company. You'll have the right amount of controls in place. They can share publicly. That's the difference between Google+. That's not changing. I know many people have asked me this. Employees will be enabled to post outside of the domain. They'll be giving lots of warnings, and you can audit that later. But there'll be lots of controls in place for you to manage that experience. And with all of that under SLA and support and as a paid and as a service included in the Google Apps Suite, I expect that to land in the Q3 timeframe this year.
C'est assez marrant ce Dory. Le temps qu'on parle, il y a une question qui est montée en flèche, c'est Google Glass. Beaucoup d'entre vous nous posent la question comment est-ce qu'on peut implémenter Google Glass dans l'entreprise. So the next question is how
Google
can
Glass,
we implement Google Glass for the enterprise and the potential of Google Glass for them?
So many of you've heard me say this before. Our strategy is to first build products at scale, many times for consumers first. Not always, many times for consumers first. Once we smooth out the edges, we figure out the use cases, we get them, to a state that we think it's ready for enterprise, we then bring it to enterprise. We did that with Glass. Was it 6 weeks ago, maybe 5 weeks ago? We launched a program called Google Glass for Enterprise, and that was for you to start to kind of think about the use cases and learn from you to see what kind of apps and developer ecosystem we need to create, because the product is actually only as good as the kind of users that you'll have inside your companies. Some examples we've seen, people who are working with their hands on the plant floor or in some, really difficult circumstances where their hands and bodies are fully occupied and they just need a visual connection back to somebody. Imagine, seeing product documentation show up when you're trying to fix a transformer. Or you're on a line and something happens and a video shows up and tells you how to fix it. So the use cases, there's a lot of them. We're just seeing the early versions of that, and I think it actually can be a great product for an enterprise use case.
Thank you. Hervé, tu as encore une petite question?
Yeah, plenty of questions, but maybe. It's around, the evolution of mobility, usage, things like that. There is some challenge for enterprise linked to legacy usage, transform application with web front and mobile access, but also the Office document and the devices linked to that. So, Amit, what is your vision when you think that, let's say, it will be no more a labs or experimentation for few users, but really achievable for thousands or thousands of users within enterprise to have different devices, to work differently without the legacy systems?
Yeah. It's a great question.
Thanks.
Look, the legacy systems will exist for a long period of time. And the usage of them, however, will continue to decline as people move from desktop-based computing to mobile computing. Because the way you work on your mobile devices is quite different. And the inputs you use, like voice, is going to be very, very different. Those legacy products were not built with mobile in mind. They are being retrofitted, or many cases there's a front end created, which is a pretty dumb front end. It doesn't really have a lot of intelligence in that application. So you're already seeing, so you asked two questions. One was more about how can you work on legacy formats? And the second is how can you work on mobile devices, et cetera? And the answer is, you're seeing today with the advent of products like Dropbox, Google Drive, people starting to share their documents. And you then open up and visualize the document on your mobile device, because the vast bulk of you are not creators. I don't mean that in a negative way. You are just reviewing a document. It's a view mode in most cases, or very, very light edit and save back, right? The vast bulk of your users are like that. In fact, we did a study with Softwatch, which was published. It said that Office documents are used less than 12 minutes a week or something like that. It's very low usage on an average employee basis. So, however, we've traditionally built our IT stacks for the power user. So we built everything around the person who has this Excel macro that's embedded n ways and these crazy pivot tables. Everything is built around that user. And that's why IT has become so complex. I think as you move to mobility, that has to simplify dramatically. So what are we doing about this? So first, Office Fidelity with legacy file formats. We're working incredibly hard to make that simple, easy. We bought Quick Office. Most of Quick Office technology is still not in Google Docs. It's actually finding its way in. We expect actually later on this quarter for that to dramatically improve both fidelity as well as performance. You're starting to see much faster sheets and docs performance on mobile now, and that's been a lot of the work that we've been working on. And I think secondly, being able to visualize any file and save it, the use case of Google Drive, you can expect to see us make huge investments and path forward of things like controls and manageability of your mobile device, so that not just the files, but the device itself is secure. So fidelity should continue to improve. The usage on mobile, the performance is already getting better. You can see more improvements later on this quarter. And then lastly, the device itself and the controls over the documents, so they can be very secure in your domain. You can expect to see that improve as well. So all three of those things.
Et là, nous avons la question assez récurrente à propos d'Office. So the question is related to the fidelity with Office.
Okay.
How can we improve this? Okay.
Office fidelity. I thought I answered that. So let me just tell you how we're approaching it and then where we are. So we have a team dedicated to Office fidelity improvements. It's a bunch of engineers who look at. So what we've done is taken 90% of the feature set and gone from the most used features to the least used features. And we algorithmically make modifications every week, and you start to see them getting better as you open up an Office document in Google Docs. And then we actually have a set of Googlers who look at fidelity side by side and say, here's an Office document, here's a Google Docs document, is it look exactly the same? And we've been doing it now for about 6 months, and we have another 6 months or so to go, where we expect to get to 90% Office fidelity. We won't have the corner cases of the beveled edge with the shading in slides. We won't solve that use case. But for 90% of your users, the goal is they should not need to have an Office license. They should be able to open up an Office document in place, be able to visualize it, comment on it, edit it, etc., save it back if necessary, and share it back with your colleagues. You should see, as I mentioned earlier, some really strong improvements towards that fidelity later on this quarter.
Hervé, est-ce que tu es d'accord si on demande à l'audience de poser des questions directement? Juste s'ils en ont, bien entendu, et ensuite on reprendra. Est-ce qu'éventuellement vous avez des questions à poser à Amit, Hervé d'ailleurs, ou moi-même? En anglais ou en français, hein?
Don't be shy. Yeah, I'll ask a question while you're waiting.
He has a question.
Okay, can I ask one quick one before you do? How many of you use Google Drive in your domain? Oh, excellent.
So good.
Thank you for that. Okay.
You happy?
Yes, I am happy.
So Michel Béret from Aperam. What about the disconnect mode in your tools? Because,
Disconnected?
Mail is not very good, and Drive, it's very difficult to work with it.
Yeah.
So do you think that everybody will be connected in the future, or are you working on this topic?
Yeah. Google's general position on this is everyone will be connected all the time. And we all know that that's not technically true, even in France, where the coverage is low, etc. What's interesting about this is when you move to mobile, that experience is very different. Because mobile clients expect to be offline occasionally and online most of the time. So when you use Gmail on your mobile device, you can still work on it and do email and have autocomplete, etc. It just doesn't send you an email until you're connected. But it's a much simpler UI on mobile, if you think about it, right? Same thing with actually doc sheets, and I think slides coming soon are on your mobile device offline. They are offline, and so you can take them offline, etc. So we've made huge progress. More progress has to be made. We're building a lot of that into Chrome. So the idea is, for desktops, is to have Chrome, either extensions or built into the Chrome framework, a secure approach to being offline. Because a lot of the other browsers are really not built with that in mind. Most browsers are for web browsing, so they assume they're always connected. the idea of the investment we made with Chrome and the WebKit and HTML5 and all the investments we've been making is so that you don't have to worry about whether you're online or offline. And so I think what you're specifically talking about is Gmail offline client, right? That isn't as functional and as pretty. We have people working on that as well. You should see progress on that. However, just to be completely transparent about it, most of our investments is going on the mobile clients and having them work both offline as well as online.
Est-ce qu'il y a encore une autre question? J'ai compris qu'il y avait aussi des gens qui ne sont pas encore clients et qui réfléchissaient à y être. Est-ce que parmi ces personnes, il y a... Si vous pouvez vous présenter en même temps.
Hello, I'm David Berraby. I'm the CTO for the digital of a media group called Prisma Media in France, one of the largest in France. I have a very simple question regarding a lot of my time spending online, whether it's on my device or whether it's on the web. Actually, I read a lot of email. There's no text resize or reflow on my emails. It's the first experience that I'm doing on my email, reflow. And the same on the web. If I go on Chrome, and I know you were a leader in the initiative for Chrome OS, you can't resize. And you have to zoom in, pinch, scroll, left, right, and that's the first experience, and the first experience is broken. So I would like you to commit to fix that first experience, reading.
So I'm sorry, you wanted the mail to be resized? Is that what you said?
Resizing the text. How many emails you can't read because it's too small or you can't read them?
Oh, but you're on an iPhone.
I am.
I will give you an Android device. It's much better, number one.
It's true. It's true that on Android...
This is an iPhone issue, actually. If you look at... I agree with you. We want to build for iPhone. But I'll show you it's beautiful. Look at it.
It's not on all Android device. I bought a Wikio phone for my wife last month.
It's not on all devices.
It's not on all devices.
So you're saying...
But you are universal.
So sizing of the font and so being able to see the... Why can't we, engineers, why can't we do that? Why is that so complicated? I'm trying to think about technically why that can't be, because that's a very basic request.
Est-ce qu'on peut passer le micro à Renaud, par exemple?
From your mom. Oh, that's even more important then. Oh, she wants to get a bigger font. Yeah, and it's too small. And she also has an iPhone? Yes. Oh, gee. So we got to get his mom an Android device. But why is that?
Le email resizing sur iPhone, alors, c'est ça la question. The question was email resizing on iPhone.
Anywhere.
And anywhere. Yeah, it's design, responsive design. So you may have this already right now, but yes, we are working on this. The technology is called live designing on this. So yes, it's
but it takes
we don't
on
care about
the font
device
takes
itself.
on the screen that's available. It's
Exactly.
a new web model, and
Just a front end.
But they should be able to increase the font. You should work on that.
Yeah, it's just a front end, so
Okay.
it's very easy.
Can I get your card, because this is a great question? I'll get back to you on why that is, or how we can fix it.
Bon, je pense qu'Hervé, tu as très envie de poser une question. Si, vas-y, pose la question.
Amit, you have interaction with a lot of customers on Google Team around the world. You are here in France. What kind of return of experience, great journey or feedback coming from other customers around the world, the US or I don't know, Asia, Australia? Is it always the same, or is there something interesting from French customers?
From French, is the French
coming from the other part of the world?
I think a lot of the questions are the same. When are you going to have Google Plus Enterprise ready? Why do I have to have Google Plus to go into Hangouts? That sucks. or like.
Or is there some countries or customer more advanced on mobility or
Yeah,
transformation?
yeah. I think both our Japanese customers and the U.S. customers are much more advanced in mobile. I think they are spending a lot more time, and you can see that even on the consumer side, where it's mobile first. Like most consumers are using mobile as their primary computing platform, and less so in Europe. I think Europe in general, there's questions about data location and a variety of things related to privacy and security, which are very legitimate. And I see less of that in the US. I see less of that in Asia. Those concerns are really not as strong as the right to be forgotten thing. I mean, it just all those things just make it harder for cloud companies that are running at global scale to kind of make something very specific for a particular part of the world. But we're responding to that. Beyond that, I don't see major. France is part of the global citizenship of technology, and many of the questions and adoption are very, very similar.
Yeah, but the message about the mobile first concern.
Yeah, I think that's one area
interesting
where,
for a French company.
Yeah, I think most French companies, as they've deployed Google Apps, has been for email-centric workloads. The whole idea of how do we turn this whole IT thing on its head and it's all about mobile and empower everybody from a service worker out there and imagine their life and how they can use the device that they've brought to work in a way that's secure, obviously, for you, but also allow them to do amazing things because the device knows where they are, knows where they're going next, location, all of that is available. And I don't see as much innovation of that here yet.
Okay, thanks.
Est-ce qu'il y a une question dans la salle? Oui, Joël.
One question about if you consider Chromebooks mobile devices, how do you differentiate or segment between Android and Chrome OS? Is there any possibility to merge it with Chromebook with the digital interface?
Yeah. Just to give you an update on Chromebooks, Chromebooks went from virtually 0 to 30% market share in the US in education in 1 year. And so all my kids, they learn on Chromebooks and Google Docs and Hangouts. That's kind of the new. In fact, in education, we have 45 million active users around the world. So kids are learning the platforms that many of you are using. And they know a lot more about it than most of us, actually. So Chromebooks and Android, Chromebooks still are, it's early days for Chromebooks in enterprise, okay? We are starting to see workloads around retail kiosks, manufacturing employees that never had access to their accounts, they can come in and share a Chromebook. We're seeing virtual workloads, so when you do desktop virtualization, like many of you have done, in that case, you don't really need Windows. You can just deploy everything on a Chromebook. So we seeing companies like Woolworths in Australia move 25,000 of their Windows machines over to Chromebook. So we're starting to see large-scale deployment of Chromebooks inside of enterprise this year. Now we're also in parallel bringing Android to enterprise, and that's been one of our priorities. The difference between the two, I see Android much more for mobile workloads. And I know you mentioned, your question was, is Chromebooks a mobile device? I think the distinguishing factor is keyboard versus not, but I actually just saw an Android-based laptop as well. So I think these things are eventually going to just kind of look and feel very similar. They're both doing well, just FYI. Chrome and Chrome OS is exploding at the same time. Android this year will go to 2 billion Android devices this year. Last year was 1 billion, so we'll add 1 billion devices for Android. And the computing cost is, with the ecosystem, is declining precipitously. You'll have a smartphone this year, really high quality for sub $100. Everyone will have them, right? And so we see these as platforms that can continue to coexist because the market is adopting them for different use cases. The longer-term merger is still an open question, and that'll play itself out.
Bon, effectivement, donc on approche de la fin, c'est clair. Est-ce qu'il y a encore une question dans la salle, franchement, pour finir cette session? Non. Hervé, tu as peut-être une dernière question? Je t'ai pas prévenu.
It's a question of also a vision of within Google, within engineering team about maturity of product. Question raised by enterprise. Some components within Google Apps like sites or groups are really important and really problem solver. Nevertheless, the pace of evolution is, let's say, slow. Is it because it's seen as a mature product and with some small evolution, or do you think about
sites evolution? And what was the second?
And groups for business.
Great question. Two products that we're spending some time rethinking. So I think sites V1 or V, whatever the last version was really important to create group collaboration internally and externally and have a simple way for teams to share. That sharing model is also in flux. Not the product, the sharing model, because people are doing that with Drive and Dropbox. And so we have to reimagine what that experience looks like with now Drive as a core content component, right? So you can have secure sharing with Drive one-to-one and one-to-many also eventually. And then Sites becomes a visual layer on top of that, right? Versus this separate data model and so on. And so there's a team working on that. We know it's really important for enterprises, and we want to continue to bring it to the next generation. But it has to be reimagined with Drive as a core platform for sharing, and then Sites as a visualization platform on top of that. And that work is underway. Groups, actually a very similar discussion on groups, because groups is the sort of the team identity. And it's either ephemeral, occasional, or like purposeful, like a group that does some things. It's all built in around the same team-based sharing discussion. And so we have teams both for Google Groups and Google Sites who are actively looking at the enterprise evolution of those products. And so they're not like mature end-of-life products or anything like that. Actually quite far from that. We're imagining on how to bring them to the next generation.
Merci. So, il reste à vous remercier. J'espère que vous avez apprécié cette session. Thank you, Amit.
Thank you.
Merci, Hervé.
Thank you.
Merci beaucoup.